This conference will now be recorded.
So now you can start the session, Vikas. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Have a nice day and stay safe.
Hey guys, so we can get started. Fine. Now what we do is we start from the place where we have left. So I created a account for myself, which was here, console.aws.amazon.com, and I was in Mumbai region, and I told you the reasons why I have chosen Mumbai. Then to the EC2 instance, and as of now there is no instance which is running. So I have this Git server which I've kept in stopped state. Reason being, I don't want to pay unnecessary cost. Now what will happen is the instance IP will change because I have stopped it, and now I'm starting it again. The IP address is going to change. So last time, if you remember, it was 6.23 dot something something something. Now you will see that I'll get a different IP address. Now if you want that you should be working with the same IP address and the IP does not change, it will be very good for you if you go and say I want a elastic IP. It has some additional cost involved, okay, but you can very well come here and say that allocate me elastic IP from the Amazon's pool of IPv4 address and allocate. The moment you say allocate, Amazon allocates you a unique public IPv4 address. It's a randomly allocated IP address, but this IP address can be allocated or associated with your EC2 instance. So as of now, I have only one instance. So if I go here, I can see the Git server, it is running, and I can say associate. Now what I'll see is when I go back to my dashboard, here I will see the instance is running and I get a permanent IP address, or this is the IP address. If you scroll here, it talks about the elastic IP and it stays throughout the session. Even if you are willing to pay and you're ready to use this, very good. I don't want to spend any unnecessary money. I'll go back here and I will say I want to disassociate this IP address. The moment I say disassociate this IP address, I can also delete it. I will release this IP address. Now once I have done this, so you will see EC2 dashboard running instance. So this particular IP address 15 dot something 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 is gone. I have a new public IP address which is 35.154.226.233 and the elastic IP is gone. Now the same thing will repeat. If I start and stop my server, the IP address will go. So it's only the way you think, the way you want to use it. IP will not make much of a difference, but yes, if you're very concerned about the IP changing, you can fix it in this manner. Anyhow, I have the IP address right now and I'll try to connect to the machine which I was working yesterday. So this was my default username, EC2 user @ whatever your IP address is. This is the port number. Appearance is where I will change my font size a bit. And also I'll go to SSH auth, and I don't remember the key I was using. So it is a DevOps Mumbai. I'll come here, browse, and say DevOps Mumbai is the key I have been using. Go ahead and say open, accept. Now, if you remember yesterday, I did something like this, sudo su hyphen, and I told host name git server, and again sudo su hyphen. Now, is it that the data which I was working with or the content which I was working with is gone? No, the content stays there. So I had installed Git. It's there. I had configured Git. Sorry, Git config -- list. The configuration is there. I did this configuration yesterday. The commands which I ran, it's there. The folder which I created, it's there. So everything is there, only the IP address is which has changed. If you come here, you can see your file1.txt, and if you come here and say git log, you can see that yesterday you made 2 changes, and these are the 2 changes. If you want to see it in a shorter way, you can say -1 line. Okay, so this is what we have done yesterday. Now we'll move ahead. So there is a possibility, or there is maybe a requirement that whatever you're doing, okay, you are doing it only on your local machine. But as per my knowledge, what I have, at the end of the day, you should commit your changes to Git remote repository or GitHub so that it becomes public. People who want, or people who should be seeing, should be able to see it. So this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the changes to my remote branch or my remote repo. Now this remote repo, what is this? Now, when I say remote repo, okay, I'm talking about something which is available on internet, and basically it is GitHub for me. So it's a service, it's a hosted web service, and you can keep whatever is in your local machine on these servers. So basically it's a server where you can go ahead and keep all the data you have. Is it a software which you can install on your local machine? No, it's not a software, it's a service. Where can I find it? So if you go to this place and say I want to go to GitHub, so you just type github.com. So github.com is basically a server, and I already have an account, so it has logged me in. But when you come here, you will see this page where the world builds the software. And here it says there are millions of developers and companies who keep their code here and use this as a repository. So it is the largest and most advanced developer platform in the world. It says I have some 65 million users, developers who are using it, 3 plus millions of organizations, and 200 million plus of repositories. Out of Fortune 50 companies, 72% are using my services. You can start a free trial, and there are a list of companies who are using this particular software. As I told you earlier, this is free of cost. It's an open source software, so you need not go and buy anything. You can simply start using the community version. You have to come here, say sign up, and you have to provide your details, basically your email address, username, and password. The email address must be unique, the username must be unique, and then you're all set. So let me say I have my account which is already there with me. So it says welcome to GitHub. So I'll say sign in, and this is my username and the password. So I'll just go ahead and log in. Now if I come here, I can see a lot of things. Lots of people have like taken a reference from my repository. I want to go to my repository, so I can change the URL a bit here. I can just put my name here. So if I say Vikas, github.com/Vikas99341, I can see I have some 176 repositories. Okay, and most of the repositories are something like which I teach on the training, and then I create one. So today also what I'll do is I'll go and create a repository. So here if I click on the plus button, I get options to create repository, import a repository which is already there, create a new Git organization, new project, and all those things. At this point of time, I'm interested in the repository section. So it says create a new repository, and that repository name should be unique. So this is my user ID, and they are asking me for the repository name. Let me say my repository name is this, the name of the folder what I have here. You can have any name. Okay, so this is what I don't have, so it's a unique name. So it says okay, fine, go ahead and use this. Okay, git command prac is available, so I can use this repository name. Then you have to come here and say why are you using it. So I'll say git prac is used to, or used as, remote repo. Okay, now it's your wish whether you want to keep it as a public repository or a private repository. So public is something where everybody can come and view your content. So it's only view. People can browse and they can see what you have. They cannot edit it. Yes, they can copy from what you have, but they cannot edit unless and until you give them permission. Private means that you are running an organization or you're running a company where you say that, okay, my changes should only be visible to people who are authorized to see that. Okay, so it will completely depend on you whether you need a public repository or a private repository. So based on your requirement, you can go with a public or a private repository. When you're creating a free account, free thing will have a limitation. So private accounts are limited when it comes to free accounts or the community account. But when you're using a proper version or a proper licensed version, there will be no limitations on the number of private repositories which you can create. As of now, I'm like, there is something called Git Ignore. I will talk about this later. And then I'll just leave everything as of now and I'll say, go ahead and create a repository for me. Now, the moment I come here and it says, so it says, if you're creating a new repository, run these set of commands. Let me take these commands to my notepad and let's see what is this. Now the first command, if you remember, so this is nothing but you are just trying to create a readme.md. So I already have a file1.txt, so I'm not bothered about this. Let me just remove this. Git init, if you remember, I have already run git init command. So git init command, one second. Okay, so if you come here, you can see git init, and if you remember, we have already run this command called git init. If I go to my history, I can see that I ran this git init command somewhere here in the very beginning. It is like one-time activity. You don't have to do every now and then. Now, because I did a git commit, I saw that I have a .git folder created for me. Fine. Then it says, once you have done the changes, do git add and then git commit with -m a message. This is also I have done long back. So I have done a git add and git commit. So I don't need to do all these things again. Now something which I have not done. Now there is something called master branch and main branch. Earlier, okay, when we started with Git, the default branch was master. But this word master slave is quite racist or quite inappropriate. So what they did is master versus main on Git. So it says either you use main or master. There's no difference. Okay. The only thing what we want to tell you is earlier we used to say master is our default branch, but now we are saying main is going to be our default branch. So if you come here and you say git branch, you will see master is the default branch. But the new repositories which are getting created nowadays are getting the name as main. The main is the default branch. So this will basically tell my system that main is going to be your default branch. So if I come here, Control C, paste it here. So this time if I come here and say git branch, you can see main is my default branch. So this is basically telling that main is going to be my default branch. If you want to give your name or any other thing, you can say git branch -m. So -m is the master branch or it's the default branch, and I have named it as main. Now main is a new standard which has been followed. Now if you come here to your remote repository, you basically get such a big line or such a big URL. Most of the people find it very difficult to remember this. So I will kind of alias this, or I will kind of shorten this. How can I do this? So I can use this command git remote add. So basically what I'm trying to say here is I'm not going to give this big path. Rather, I'm going to give a single name as origin. So going forward, when I say origin, you assume that I'm going to use this particular full path. Okay, so this is also a good thing. Let's go ahead and take it. Control C. Okay, now if I go here and say git remote -v, it shows me that if you say origin, you are basically referring to this particular path. So when you do a git fetch or git push, I will consider that you are asking me to take reference from this particular location, which in turn is represented by this particular keyword called origin. Again, you can have your own keywords. Now, earlier we used to provide our username and password. So whatever is your username, so Vikas 99341 is my username, and the password can be anything, whatever your password is. So earlier we used to give the username and password like this, but in August 2021, means very recently, due to security reasons, they have told that you can't use your password here. Rather, you have to create a token and you have to use that token. Now the question is, how do I create that token? So to create that token, okay, to create that token, you have to come here to this place. Here you will find settings. Here you will find developers setting. And here you will find personal access token. Take this. So as of now, I have one. I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to create a new token. And I'll say new token. Give any name. It's up to you. After 30 days, it should expire. So as of now, for training purpose, I'll give all the permissions. But in a real-time scenario, you will not be having all the permissions given. Let's go ahead. So he can delete, and basically I'm giving all the admin permissions to this guy. Once I give the admin permission, this is generated and it's one time I'm going to see. So better you go ahead and store it. Your call where you want to store it. Now once you are done with all these things, you're all set. So this is also done for me. Now the last command which I'm going to use here is git push -u origin main. So you know origin is that big URL. Main is your main branch or the default branch. -u is the username. So I will be providing the username and all. So Control C. And the changes what I have done here, basically file1.txt, I want to push it to my GitHub repo. So this is what I'm going to do. Control C, git push -u origin main, and the username. Okay, this is my username. What is your password? So password is this. So what I'll do is I'll copy this entire thing, Control C, and I'll paste it. So to paste here, you just do a right click. So the moment you do a right click, it looks like nothing happened, but actually the password got pasted. You need not do 2 times, 3 times, or it will be wrong. Do it once, right click, and it gets pasted. Hit enter. So what you see here is that the username was was provided, the password was provided, and with that it says I can see these many objects are there, and I would like to go ahead and create a repo with this name, and I can see the new branch main is getting created, and this main is where I'm going to do all kind of setup, and I'm going to push everything to this location. Now if I go back to this location, so I will just go back here, back to my GitHub, to my repositories, which is, I can go like this. So if I come here, I can see there is a new repo created here, and this is the one. It is updated a minute ago. Click on this, and you can see your latest file here. Okay. Now it says if you want, you can read a add me, so that people who want to see your repository generally come to know what it is all about. So you can see there are two commits. The last commit was done some 23 hours back, and I will see the same changes or the same commit IDs here as I see it here. So always it is recommended that these two repositories, basically my local repository and my remote repository, should be in sync. If they are not in sync, then I will start facing problems. So the best way to do this is that whenever you start, before starting, you use a command called git fetch. The moment you do a git fetch, it will go check your remote repository and your local repository. If both are same, the commit, the number of commits, the latest commit is same, or you can put it like this: if the head is pointing to the same location. So I see here the head is pointing to this commit B2A19B4, and here also this is the latest commit I have, B2A19B4. It means both are having the same commit ID. It means both have the same change. Now I can get started and work with. Now think of a scenario where I did a git fetch here, git fetch, but there is someone who came and he made some changes to the remote repository. Directly he came here and made some changes. Let me come here and let me say that he added a new file. Add a file, create a new file. He created a file with name as file2.txt, and he wrote few lines here. This is file2, and he committed it. So this is not a recommended practice, okay? CRA. Okay, so he did something like this and he committed to the branch. So he did a commit. So now I can see two changes are there. Here I have the third commit, okay, but I don't have the same thing here. So if I go here and say git fetch, it will shout, hey, looks like there is a change in the way you are seeing. Your remote repository has a different head or a different commit ID, and you have a different commit ID. So if you get such kind of a message, the best thing is that you should go ahead and take the latest change from GitHub or the remote repo. The command can be git pull. Just do a git pull. If you want to do for a precise branch, say -b main. So for the precise branch you want to take the changes. So you say git pull -b main. And if you want, you can give the entire ID. For me, I have only one branch. So I can simply say git pull. So now what it will do is it will say fast forward, one file has been changed, and let me go ahead and change that. So now if I come here, I can see a git pull was done. Okay, now there is a very common question which you will be asked many times. What is the difference between git fetch and git pull? So when you do a git fetch, it is only telling you that there is a change, there is no change. But when you do a git pull, if there is a change, okay, it will pull the latest change. But if there is no change, it will not do anything. It did not do anything. It says already up to date. So what is the difference between git fetch and pull? So fetch says what is the problem, but does not do anything. Git pull says what is the problem and also updates your repository. A very similar command to this is git clone. So if you come here, you can see that I have this repository already present here. But if I do something like this, git clone, okay, so clone is like you copy everything. So git prac, this is the code, take this URL and you do a clone here. So it is like replacing this entire content. Now it will give me an error because this is already present here. Destination path already exists. So what I'll do is rm-rf, I'll remove this thing and I'll run it again. So git clone is like it will copy everything irrespective it has been changed, not changed, what has been done doesn't matter. It will copy everything. So Git clone is like copying everything. Git pull is like only copying or only pulling the changes which you have done. Git push is once you do the changes, you push it to your central repository or your remote repository. And Git fetch is telling you, hey boss, see there is a change here. So this is what we are trying to see here. So we did a git add, we did a git commit, we did a git push. Now I want to see the changes. Git pull, okay, or git fetch. Then I do a git pull, it comes here. Now moving ahead, there is something called git checkout. What is this git checkout? Now there can be a possibility, or there can be a requirement where I want to create more branches. Okay, so let me come here, and yesterday also I showed you that I have all the Notepad++. Okay, so I have done this. Git installation is done, this is done, repo is done, log is done. Now there are many commands, like I want to see, let me go here, clear all these things. So I want to see a particular commit ID, what happened there. Okay, I can see two files. If I go and say git log --1 line, I can see that these many commits are there. So first commit, second commit. I want to exactly know what happened here. So I can say git show. Either I can say head, because the head is pointing to this location. So if I say git show head, so it will tell me where is the head pointing, first thing, what are the changes were done, and what is the difference from the previous commit. So it is basically telling me everything, where is the head pointing towards. But let me say I want to know about this particular commit. So I can say git, it's case sensitive, git show and the commit ID. So it tells me what happened for this commit ID, who did it, when it was done, and what's the difference from the previous commit which was done. So that is git log. Now git log or any command can have multiple options. So you can just come here, say git that command --help. So you'll get a lot of info here. So it's kind of a manual or a kind of description which tells you a lot of options. So there is a decorate and there is no decorate. So there are a lot of things, okay, lot of options are there. Yes, to get started you will never ever need all these things, so do not get overwhelmed by these things. Simply let's get started with the basic things, and then later we will see what has to be done. So I do a q quit and I come out. Let's keep moving. At any point of time, if you see any thing, any doubt, anything, please stop me. I will be able to help you out. Okay, now there is a possibility that you are working with something but you don't want to track that. Okay, basically you don't want to keep a eye on that. Okay, so what you do is you create a file and name it as git ignore. Let me come here and let me create a file. So I'll use nano editor and say git ignore. Now I will say that whatever changes you do to file 1.txt, I don't want to track it. Control X, Y, enter. So now ls-l. So I can see file 1 and file 2. Now what I'll do is inside git ignore, I have mentioned that I don't want to track anything related to file 1 and file 1. So simultaneously, I'll make changes to both the files. Control X, Y, enter. I will also make changes to file 2.txt Okay, now if I come here and say git status, see here, so this tells me that there are two files which has been changed, and it is telling me why, because I have not uh, made changes to this. So first let me go ahead and make changes to this git ignore. So I'll just add this git add these things. So for time being, let me just say git add dot. So when I say git add dot, it means I'm adding everything. Okay, and then I'll say git commit -m added git file git ignore file. Okay, okay, I'll also do a git push. So I'll say git push origin main. So it is asking me for my username and for my password. So password is here. Now if I come back here to my repo, I can see that all the changes will be present here. So I can see that 29 seconds back these has been changed, and in the git ignore I see file1.txt. Now let's go back here. I want to make some changes. So the first thing I will do is git fetch. Make sure that I don't have any changes which is left behind. Now I will change both the files. Nano file1.txt and okay, Control X, Y, enter. Okay, now if I come here and say git status, okay, okay, so it is tracking both the files. Wait, give me a second. Git add. So if I do a git add, so this git ignore is actually not working. Just come here and say git status. Okay, your branch is up to date. Git commit. So primarily what I will do now is I'll say git and I will ignore this file. So I'll just come here and say staged and I will ignore this file. One second, git store management. Git is not, sorry, git was given 2 times. That's what it's asking. Git status. Okay, so I should see something like this. So if I add this file, which is file1.txt, to my .git ignore file, this changes should not be tracked. Okay, but due to some reason, both the changes are getting tracked. Okay, so I will figure it out later. Now what I will do is I'll come here and say git status. So assume that this file is not getting tracked as of now because it is present in my .git ignore file. So whenever you do a git add or you do a git commit, only the file which is not mentioned in the git ignore will be tracked. So if I have to go and see what is .git ignore, so I go to the official documentation and it says specifies intentionally untracked files that git should ignore. Okay, and you don't want to track those files basically. Okay, so let me just come down here. So you can come here and in the git ignore file you can say that okay, I don't want to track all those things. Okay, so let's go and see an example here. Okay, dot git ignore example. Okay, let's go here. So you create a file. Okay, you put a pattern there. One second. Wait a second, not this. Oh. So it says if you put it like this, it will not be tracked. Okay, let's put it like this. So I'll create another file called nano, and I'll say sample.py. Okay, this is a Python code. This is a Python code. Control X, Y, enter. I don't want to track this. So what I will do is I'll go and add this to my Git ignore. Sorry, escape. Control X. One second, Control X. Git ignore. Okay, so I'll remove this one and I'll say star.py. So any file who has the extension of .py, I just don't want to track it. Control X, Y, enter. So ls minus l, you can see there are three files, sample.py and this thing. So if I come here and say git status, you can see that it is saying file 2.txt has been modified, but these two files are getting ignored, or this particular file, even if I changed, it is never getting tracked. So if I again do that, nano, again made a change, Control X, Y, enter, and again I come here and say git status. See here, it is not getting tracked. Nobody knows why, where it is. So if I come here and remove this from my git ignore, Control X, Y, and this time come here and say git status, you can see sample.py has untracked files. So it is now able to track my changes. So many times you may have a requirement where you don't want to track it, you don't want to take it ahead. Okay, so some temporary work which you want to delete after some time. Now at this point of time, I'll use a command called Git Stash. Okay, so it's a very good command. So let me say I'm working on a file. So I was working on this code, file2.txt. Okay, so let me just commit everything whatever I have till now, -a -m, and I will say 2-in-1 commit. Sorry, git commit. Okay, so I've done all these things, 2-in-1 commit. So whatever changes are there, I have just committed everything. Okay, I'll also do a git push, so that git push origin main Vikas 99341, and I have the latest changes pushed. Git fetch returns nothing, means whatever I have pushed it to my Git remote repo or GitHub. Let's clear out everything. Now think of a scenario where I was working on a piece of code. Let me say this is the code. So I was working on this. Let me say nano, and this is file 2.2. Okay, I was doing some changes. all of a sudden you get a news from your manager that something has gone wrong on the prod side. So you have to work on this piece of code. You're not ready to commit the change, but also you don't want to lose the change. It means you want to park it aside somewhere so that you can use it later. So you can use a command called Git Stash, S-T-A, stash. So the moment you do Git Stash, whatever changes you have done is parked aside for the time being. So if you come back to your file, you will not see the changes which you did. So if I come here and say, I cannot see the changes which I had done, some one line change I had done. So it says it is parked in WIP folder or work in progress folder. I've saved it. You can come back and take it later. Now my work is done. I want to retrieve it back. I say git stash pop, is pop it out or bring it out for me. So git stash pop. So here, if you come back and say cat your file 2.txt, you can see doing some changes are back. Okay, so you can use git stash command to temporarily park your work aside or into a work in progress folder, and later when you need it you can bring it back. Clear? So I will just do a git commit and -m git stash git stash. Okay, and I'll do git commit. I have done. So your branch is up to date, there's no changes, you don't have anything. So I'll do git add dot, then git commit -m WIP folder created. Sorry, spelling mistake. Okay, and let's do a push again. And this is the one. Done. So git stash, I know. Git ignore, I know. Let's see what else we have. At any point of time, if you feel that you did not understand what we are doing, just stop me. We will revisit that and we will try to take it. Now, there are possibilities where you did a commit, but suddenly you realized, hey, this is a blunder. I did a mistake. You should be in a position to get it back. So there are two commands here, Git Revert and Reset. So if I have to explain this, now it's better for this one. 1 second. If I can maximize this. Okay. Let's talk about Git Revert and Git Reset. It's very important to know the difference between both of them. If I can decrease my font size a bit. Yeah, further. Yeah, now I can accommodate. So if you see here, so let me say, okay, that I did a commit. This is the commit which I did. And I realized that it's not what I need. So I do something called Git Reset. The moment I do a Git Reset, I lose this change. It is completely gone. Okay. So Git Reset, I can give you an example here. So if I come here and say Git log --one line, let me say I want to remove this change. I realized that this change what I have done is a faulty one, and because this is a faulty one, I have to remove this change. So if you want to remove it completely and then never ever want it back, you can do a git reset. 1 second. So just let me take it from here. Branch, merge, push, pull, revert. So if you go here and say git reset minus minus hard, so and the commit ID. So this is the commit ID. I want to remove this completely. I don't want to see this. Git reset minus minus hard, this thing. So it says that this commit ID is revoked or it is moved. See here. Sorry, 1 second. Oh, B2B2. 1 second. Sorry, my bad. I want my head to be pointing to this location. Okay. Now if I come here, see here, this commit is completely gone. It is missing. Even if you try whatever you do, this particular commit is gone. You have completely removed it. So even if you do git history, git log, whatever you do, it is gone. Okay. So when I'm doing a git reset, this thing is completely gone and it is gone forever. So if I come here and say git add dot git commit minus m git reset done. Okay, so it says you don't have the latest change. I don't see the latest change because you had the latest change that side on your git repo, but now doesn't look like you have the latest change here. So what you can do is you can say, okay, wait, let me forcefully push this change. So I'll say git add minus f. Okay, so I'm forcefully pushing this change, and then git commit minus m git reset done. Okay, wait a second now. Wait a second. ls minus l. So I have these two files, and I say git log minus minus one line. Okay, so I can see that that particular commit is gone. Okay, and if I want to make that thing permanent, I can also do a git commit, and I can make it forcefully. I'll do a git push minus f. So if I do something like this, git push minus f means I'm forcefully implementing the change. I have to drop in 8 minutes. I have a meeting. I could not move. Okay, no worries. So I can see triple F 4780 is the one which I have here. And the latest change what I have here. So let me just refresh the history. I'll refresh here. So I can see 1 second. Okay, I've already forced the change. So if I do a git push force, okay, so basically this particular commit ID is removed, and this is made as my latest commit. It has been forcefully updated because you did a git reset. You removed this particular commit ID altogether, and you say that I don't want it back. 1 second, let me just close this. I don't want this back. But what if the developer who has done this change, he wants it back? He says, okay, fine, I have done a mistake, but don't remove it completely. Rather, you move the head to this location. So I'll put it something like this. He says, okay, the third commit is a faulty one. Okay, accepted. Why can't you bring your second commit at the top? So you do a git revert. So when you do a git revert, 2 becomes 2 dash and 3 is moved out, but it stays in the commit history. It means tomorrow if you want, you can get it back. So when I do a git revert, it's like bringing this commit number 2 ahead of commit number 3, but not directly. A new commit ID will be generated and become as the latest commit, but in turn it is same as the previous commit. So it is like overwriting this particular thing, but it remains in the history. When you do a git reset, it is completely gone and it does not stay there in the history at all. Okay, so git reset completely gone. Git revert, it is gone but not 100% gone. It stays there in the history. So let's do a git revert, see how it works. So let me say I want to revert the latest commit which we have. One second, let me come here and revert is what we're talking about, right? So we say, so let me clear all these things and git log. So this is my latest commit. I want that this should not be there. I want this one should be there, but this one will come, but with a new commit ID. Let's see what happens. So I'll say git revert. Okay, git revert head. So git revert head means remove where the head is currently pointing to. That's the command, git revert. I don't think why it is in small letter. Just give me 1 second now. Reset, I don't want. Revert. Okay, let's do like this only. So we say get revert head and we give a message -m, sorry, -m, reverting the latest change. Okay, enter. So, okay. So I will say something like this. Git revert head means go one step back. Expects a number greater than 0. Yeah, it's greater than 0. 1 second. Let me check the syntax. Is there anything missing here? Okay, git reset I don't want. I want revert. Control F, revert. Git revert head. Okay, it says just do a git revert head. Okay, let's try that. It says just do git revert head. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so it says get revert head. So the moment you do like this, it will there will be a message which will come like this. What message would you like to give here? So you say escape I, come in insert mode and remove this message, whatever is there, and you give a new message. You can give a message like revert done successfully and skip then just WQ exclamation mark come out. So now what has happened is that this revert head has been successfully reverted. So this head is gone, or the head pointing to this location is gone. It is pointing to this location, but with a new commit ID. Let's check. See here. So earlier my head was pointing here, but now it is pointing to this location. Ideally, or basically it is pointing here, but with a new commit ID. How can you be so sure? I'll say git diff. Is there a difference between this commit and this commit? The answer is no. There is no difference between these two commits. So basically, revert is like overwriting this content with a new commit ID, but the old still stays in the history. And this is the comment which I had given. Okay, so this is a basic difference between git revert and git reset. So I'll repeat, whenever I say git reset, it is completely gone. You can't get it back. But the moment you say git revert, you are basically reverting or overwriting the changes with a new change with just one back, and you can get it back at any point of time. Now all this is done. Now one more concept which is very widely used here in Git is Git Rebase. Okay, so when people want to ask a lot of questions to you and they want to put you in a troublesome situation, they'll ask you about Git Rebase. So what is Git Rebase? So rebasing is nothing but creating a linear history. So first I'll tell you what is the problem, and then I will tell you what is the solution. Okay, so now let me say I say git branch. So the moment I say git branch, I am in the main branch. But many a times it may happen that I don't want to work with the main branch. Okay, because main branch contains the latest change. So because it has the latest change, I don't want to disturb the existing setup. I would create my own branch. I can say git branch. You create your own branch. Let me say feature branch 1, or let's not give such a big name. I'll say FB1, feature branch 1. Now if I come here and say git branch, I will see there are two branches, main and FB1. Similarly, you can create n number of branches, your call. Now what happens is I want to go to this branch, so I'll say git switch, means switch to that branch FB1, switched to branch FB1. If I come here and say git branch, I can see I am in FB1 right now. So whatever changes I do in git in FB1 stays in FB1 unless and until I commit it or merge it with the main branch. What do I mean by that? So I am in FB1, I will make changes like let me make some changes. Nano file 1 dot, sorry, my bad, control X, sorry, control X, and wait, I want to create file1.txt. I want to change this file. Let me say new changes implemented but in FB1 branch, control X, Y, enter. Okay, now this change what I have done in FB1 branch. So when I say git add or git status, let me just do 2 in 1, commit -a m. You can give both at the same time, like -a -m or -am. Okay, commit done on FB1. Okay, then it says okay, git push origin Where do you want to push? Do you want to push to your main branch? No, you have done changes in FB1 branch. So you say FB1, git push FB1 means I want to push these changes to FB1 branch. So I'll say Vikas 99341 and this is the password I have. Okay, so it says I have created a new branch called FB1 and this is the change you can see here. Let me come here. Now, if you see carefully, you will see two branches here, main branch, FB1 branch. Now, main is the default branch and FB1 is the other branch. In FB1, I have done changes to this file. So when I come here, I can see the changes, new changes implemented to FB1 branch. This is FB1. If I change to main branch, do I see that change? No. So this change is not present in FB1, but it is present here in it is present in FB1, but not present in my main branch. Now, let me say there is a developer who has done a different change altogether. He says git, he is into main branch, git switch, he's in main, okay, main. So switch to main branch, your git, use git push to publish your local commits, okay. Fine. I'll just do a git pull because I want to have the latest change, and the git pull is in the main branch. So main branch, nothing has been changed. So it is telling that you have up-to-date code. There's no problem here. Now here on the main branch, I do some changes. Nano file 2.txt. Txt. Here I will say new line added on main branch. Control X, Y, enter. I'll do a git add or 2-in-1 again. I'll do git commit -am changes done on main branch. Now check. Why is this a typo here? Okay, now let's clear all these things. I want to show you something. Git log -one line. Now if you see here, main is pointing here, okay, one head is pointing here, the other head is pointing here, okay. So there are two heads basically, one is here, origin main, and this, and if I switch my branch, git switch fb1, and here I come and say one line, I can see head is now pointing to fb1, origin is pointing to main, origin is pointing to fb1. So basically there are two branches which has erupted. Can you show me in a better way? So I'll use a command, decorate command. Just let me just do decorate. So I want to show you the graphical view of this log. Can you clone specific branch, or do you? No, that's not required. You can clone a specific branch. Okay. Now, if you see this carefully, all this time it was going linear like this, straight, but then I got a new branch altogether. So let me just see here, a new branch came. So now the setup is something like this, then I went like this. Means I was working with my main branch and all of a sudden you asked me FB1 branch. So now at the end of the day, what will happen is this follows its own path. this follows its own path. But in a real-time scenario, if you do like this, that's not what is acceptable. So you do something like git merge. Main is going here, your head is here. So you basically do a git merge. It will go and merge like this. But if you keep doing git merge, git merge, git merge, what will happen is a point will come where your entire infrastructure or entire flow will become very, very, very haunting. What do I mean by that? Now, if you see this carefully, this is how my flow logs or my git logs will look like. There are so many commits. One branch is flowing here, the other branch is flowing there, the other branch is flowing there, the other one is there. And if I want to track who has done what, it will be a nightmare for me. So if you want a cleaner repository, a simple straight line, so it says we can use rebase as a feature branch onto master branch. The entire feature branch, so basically, if I come here and say git merge versus rebase, this is the difference. So if I do a merge, I get a bulky structure like this. So I was working with my main branch, then I got another branch, and then I had to merge. So I get a new commit ID and this kind of a structure. But if I do a rebase, I get a linear structure like this. So it is very easy for me to keep a track who is doing what. So basically, when I say git rebase, okay, you rewrite the history. Your structure will become like this. Okay, you get a cleaner repository. So it's an alternative of merge. Yes, at times it can be complex, but it can be used as a cleanup tool where you get a linear project history. Okay, work wise it is not doing something extraordinary. Whatever your merge is doing, the same thing this is also doing, but it is giving you a linear structure. So let me just come here and I would like to do something like called git rebase. Okay, git rebase, and wait a second, which branch is this? Git branch. So I'm in FB1. So let me go to main branch. I will say something like this: git switch main. I go to main branch. Okay, and I say something like this: git rebase FB1. Okay, so it says successfully rebased and updated the head. So this time if I come here and run this command, see here, it has become a single straight line. It has all the changes, FB1 changes, main changes, but the output what I'm getting is a linear straight line. Now I'll recreate this scenario and do the same thing with git merge. Okay, so first thing, git branch where I am. So I am in main branch. Let me change something here. Nano file1.txt. So let me say learning git merge, control X, Y, enter. So I made a change here on my main branch. Now I go here, sorry, one second. I made a change. I'll also commit git commit -a m learning git merge on, this is main. Okay, I did this change. Now I will go here, git switch, and I go to FB1. So I'm back to FB1, and here I will make another change to file2.txt, adding new line on FB1 branch. Control X, Y, enter. Again, the same thing. And on FB1. Okay, now let's clear everything. Come back here. See here, there is a different track altogether coming up, right? So this is main, this is my FB1. Now if I go ahead and say git, so where I am first, let me just see into git, git branch. You can see in FB1, okay? So I will do something like this, git merge. I want to merge my FB1 branch with main. So let's say main. Okay, so there is a conflict, there is some problem. So it says automatic merge conflict failed. Fix the conflict and then commit the change. Okay, where it has failed, file2.txt. Okay, let's go ahead and fix this. Nano file2.txt. Now if you see here, the head or the main is writing this line, sorry, the head or FB1 is writing this line and this guy is writing this line. So it's a very common interview question. What is the solution for Git merge conflict, or how do I resolve a Git merge conflict? So whenever there is a Git merge conflict, the best way is to avoid it. But in case you get to have a merge conflict, you have to go to the logs, see who has done the change, contact that person and sit and resolve it. So it has to be fixed it. You have merge tools and all, so you have to fix it. So basically both of them come together and they say they agree to a common point. So adding a new line on FB and main branch, so both of them agreed that okay, if we write this piece of code, both our changes will be there. So you come here, okay, control X, Y, enter. You do a git add dot, then you do a git commit -m, git conflict resolved. Okay, and then the git conflict is resolved. You have done a commit. But now if you come here, let me clear this first. See here how it looks like old age television. There's a bulk. You did a merge. So this merge is giving you a bulk. So this merge will merge the changes. You will have the latest changes. But the problem is that the structure will not be linear. The history will never be a linear. So if you want a linear project history, always go for rebase. But if you're not concerned what is the history, where it is landing and all those things, then you can go with git merge. But yes, whenever there is a merge conflict, you have to sit and resolve the merge conflict. Now once you're done with all the changes, you can say git push. So let me say I want to push the latest change. So I will go to my git switch and I will go to main. So I am in my main branch right now and it says git push origin main. So I want to push all the changes what I have done, and this is my password here. Okay, so wait, authentication field, it means I did some mistake in copy pasting. Git push. Okay, this time it has been pushed. Come here and just refresh this. Now you will see the latest change here. Okay, so whether you are in your main branch or FB1, you will see the latest change here. Okay, Now, last thing what I would like to touch upon here is that I have two branches. My changes are done. So I will go and delete the branch. How to delete the branch? So I'll say git branch minus D for delete and the name of the branch, which is FB1. So are you sure you want to delete this branch? Then git branch minus D. So capital D. Okay, deleted the branch. So this branch has been deleted. Now, once this has been deleted, your work is done. Now, the last thing what I will do here is I would tag the changes. So there is something called zero tags. Let me say that you are done with your changes and you want to freeze your code. Let me say December release. I don't want to touch it. It's Christmas time. I don't want my servers to be causing a problem. So I will create a tag and I will add that tag stating that do not touch the code or release 1.0, something like that. So you come here and say git tag and you give a tag. So something like this, git tag minus a. So you're adding a tag name basically. Let me come here. You give a tag name minus a. Let me say it is version 1.0 and I will add a message along with this -m December release. Okay, now if I come here and say git tag, I can see 1.0. Now what I will do is to make this tag permanent, I can also, or I want to know what is there in the tag, so I can say git show and this tag ID. So you can see this is the commit ID, or it is associated with the latest commit which I have done. Okay, so git tag version 1.0. What you can do is you can say git push origin main and the password. Everything is up to date. Git push tag, I think. Git push tag. 1 second. One second. Git tag minus a git tag. Now these two are equivalent. Git show. Wait a second. Last command which I would like to run here is push git tag to remote. Git push minus tags. So just come here and say git push minus tags. What is your username? Vikas 341. What is your password? So probably this is what my password is. So now a new tag has been pushed. If I come back here, refresh this, I can see one tag is mentioned here. This is version 1.0. If I come here, I see December release. So this is how you work with Git. So basically we have covered almost all the basic commands which we will be using in Git. Going forward, we will be using Git, and as and when new commands will be coming, we will be using them. So we have covered with the basic concept of Git. If you have any questions, any doubts, you can feel free to ask. At what point we will use git blame when we have a conflict? I'll cover this later. Git blame, let me just take it in the next coming classes, not right now. Could you clone a specific branch, or you have to first, you can clone any branch. So while cloning, you just say which branch you want to clone. So you can say git clone and then -b, the name of the branch, and then you can clone whichever branch you want to clone. Okay, and if you want to learn more about git blame, help. Show that what revision and author last modified each line of the file, so you can get to know more about this. But yes, we will be covering this later, not now. Just come here and see. Yeah, the recordings will be shared with every one of you so that you can revisit and you can practice. These commands also will be shared with you so that you can practice. And last but not the least, once your work is done, go back to the console and switch it off. Stop the instance. Okay, fine guys. So it was where are they located? I will share it with you. So I'll get in touch with the coordinator and he will be sharing it with you. Fine. See you then guys. Bye bye.